Hello everyone, I'm back again with another episode of NBA Summary. My name's Mo Elo, and we're on day 9 of NBA in the bubble. Let's dive right into it. In game 1, we have the Utah Jazz versus the San Antonio Spurs. With the Jazz missing 4 of their 5 regular starters, this game was rather boring. San Antonio controlled the game from the start to the finish, with each player in their starting 5 scoring over double digits. It was obvious the Jazz didn't really care whether or not they won, they just wanted to get some of their rotational players some extra minutes. And it was great to see what they could do with it. Jordan Clarkson ends his night playing 24 minutes and scoring 24 points. He could be a real X factor for them in the playoffs. With all of the other starters out, Joe Ingles really came to play in the first half, scoring 12 points to go along with 3 rebounds and 3 assists. He was on fire from 3-point range. However, it became very apparent that the Jazz had no interest in winning this game when he sat for the remaining second half. There's not much more to be said about this game, so let's dive right into game 2. The Grizzlies had been struggling coming into this game, yet to record a win since the NBA restart. And with the first quarter coming to an end, this was looking like another Grizzlies loss in the making. The Oklahoma City Thunder led by as much as 18 late in the first quarter. However, coming into the second quarter, it was a completely different team. They were hustling more on defense and contesting each and every one of OKC's 3-point attempts. After the halftime break, it was obvious that Memphis were playing for their playoff position. They looked like a different team to what we've seen in the bubble, hustling and playing scrappy defense, pestering the OKC offense and ultimately disrupting their scoring. Additionally, the Grizzlies were owning paint scoring with 36 points scored in the paint alone. They did not relinquish their control of this game, as they really wanted to make a statement that they aren't giving up their 8th seed spot without a fight. Grizzlies come away with the win on this game. Final score 92-121. Memphis wins by 29. I honestly can't pick a single player for the player of this game, as the entire Memphis team showed up in a big way. This was a team effort and a team win. They should be proud of themselves. Now, as we head into game 3, we have the Sacramento Kings versus the Brooklyn Nets. The first half of this game was quite close, with 11 ties and lead changes in the first 2 periods. However, late in the second half, Brooklyn Nets began to take control of this game, led by an incredible performance from Caris LeVert, scoring 19 points and 5 assists in the first half alone. Although he went quite cold in the second half, his offensive surge lit a fire underneath his teammates' hearts, with 7 different Brooklyn Nets players recording 10 or more points. Additionally, they only recorded 2 turnovers in the first half. On the other side of the court, however, the Kings struggled to keep the ball in their possession, with turnover after turnover piling up, ultimately leading to the Nets winning this game. In addition to their turnover problems, the Kings bench was absolutely woeful in this game. They struggled with inefficiencies. Brooklyn takes away the W in this game. Final score 106-119. The Nets win by 13. As I alluded to before, the player of this game is Caris LeVert. His incredible first half performance was exactly what the Nets needed to get themselves going. An honorable mention is Joe Harris, however, who shot 73% from the field and 72% from 3-point range. He was absolutely lights out in this game. As we move on, we have our first close contest of the night. The Orlando Magic versus the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers were exploring life without Ben Simmons, who's out with a patella dislocation. So as they moved into tonight, they really needed production from their other starters. And I tell you what, they found it. This was a back and forward affair, with the 76ers leading for most of the first half. They were never able to really pull away, due in part to their inefficiencies on the night. However, this was a two-way street, as the Orlando Magic also shot the ball poorly, with 40 and 42% from the field respectively. As the Magic tried to gain control of the game in the late second half and through the third quarter, they struggled to pull away, leading by as much as 7, but without ever being able to really go on a run, that lead was eaten away. Despite an inefficient night, the 76ers were able to have 4 different players recording 20 or more points, led by Tobias Harris, who scored 22 points to go along with 15 rebounds on the night. The 76ers win this game. The final score, 108-101. Sixers win by 7. Although I would say that Tobias Harris was the player of the game, the X factor for the 76ers was Alec Burke, who came off the bench in 27 minutes to record 22 points. One worry about the Sixers team is their depth. But if himself, Mike Scott, and Matisse Thybulle can continue to produce at a high level, then maybe, just maybe, the 76ers can do something special in these playoffs. And in another nail-biting thriller, we have Game 5, the Washington Wizards versus the New Orleans Pelicans. Both of these teams needed a win in a bad way. For the Wizards, a loss tonight would mean that their playoff hopes were over. And for New Orleans, who only has one win after the restart, although they were favorites to make the play-in competition, it doesn't look like they're frontrunners anymore. They need to start stringing together some wins to get back in the conversation. Although the game was close in the first half, the Wizards were controlling most of the tempo. However, towards the end of the second quarter and coming into the third quarter, New Orleans were looking like the New Orleans Pelicans of old before the restart. They turned it up on the defensive end, and that was the difference maker. They were able to get stop after stop, which ultimately led to them gaining control of this game midway through the third. And from there, they never looked back. Although it was an inefficient night on the scoring end for the New Orleans, their saving grace was Jrue Holiday, who did it on both the defensive and offensive end for them tonight. He ends his night with 28 points, good for 69% shooting from the field. He leads his team to a win on the night. The final score, 107-118. Pelicans win by 11. Although most of the team was struggling on the offensive end tonight, Jrue Holiday led the defensive effort in the second half. This sparked a chain reaction from his team, as he led by example and the others followed. And for that reason, to go along with his incredible scoring night, Jrue Holiday is tonight's player of the game. They were able to get some great assistance off the bench, with Nicole O'Malley and Frank Jackson both being real factors in this game. Tonight's disappointment was Lonzo Ball's scoring. Purely disappointing on the offensive side of the ball. He ends his night with 2 points on an abysmal 14% shooting from the field. I've said it before on this channel, and I think I'm going to say it again. He really needs to sort it out on the offensive side of the ball if they want any chance of being able to make it into the playoffs. However, credit where credit is due. Although he was struggling on the offensive side of the ball, he turned it up on the defensive side of the ball, being an absolute pest. He ends his night with a steal and 3 blocks. Our fifth and final game is the Boston Celtics versus the Toronto Raptors. Going into this game, I had rather high expectations. This was a potential second round matchup. To say I was disappointed would be an understatement. The Celtics played great basketball out of the gate, and they blew the Raptors out. The final score of this game, 122-100. The Celtics win by 22. This looked like an effortless win for the Boston Celtics. Behind efficient basketball, they were able to dispatch the Raptors relatively quickly, with most of their starters playing less than 30 minutes, and 7 different players recording over 10 points. It was obvious that the Raptors were quite flat in this game, and it looked like they weren't really putting much effort on the defensive end. This was typified by the Boston Celtics dropping 8 3-pointers on their head in the third quarter. This was a forgettable game for Toronto. I'm sure they don't want to dwell on it too much and move right on into their next game. And so with that, let's not embarrass them too much and wrap up today's episode. For lols, I'll be giving the player of this game to Brad Wanamaker, who came off the bench good for 15 points on 75% shooting from the field. Better luck next time, Raptors. If you enjoyed this episode, there will be many more like it coming up. We aim to post every day from now until the end of the NBA season. If you think any of your friends might enjoy getting daily summaries of NBA games, make sure you let them know about BBall Summary. We're YouTube's best kept secret. And with that, Mo Allo out.